Go, Knights, go! 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 Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Knights This Week with your host and superfan, Jason Banks, coming at you with another edition of Knights This Week, playoff edition, as we are now going to be in a brand new series on Knights This Week, as we are tangling with the ERIE OTTERS again for the third year in a row in the playoffs. So we're going to get you caught up to speed on what's happening on this second round series between your London Knights and the ERIE OTTERS. So welcome to Knights This Week. I'm your host and super fan, Jason Banks, coming at you once again on Knights This Week. So on Knights This Week, we got 4 games to cap up here between the OTTERS and the Knights, a very familiar rivalry. It wasn't much of a rivalry back in the day, but it's becoming a big-time rivalry now. Anytime you meet a team 3 years in a row in the playoffs, it's becoming a rivalry. And this year, we got a good series going on. The last 2 years, hasn't been much to say about the series because they've both been sweeps, but this one is no sweep for anybody. So let's find out what is happening in this one, shall we? Let's get right into it, because not much else to say other than the playoffs. So, the London Knights, after coming off a first-round series against the Windsor Spitfires, this year's Memorial Cup hosts, they come off and beat that team in 7 games, trailing at one point 3 games to 1, but managed to come back from a 3-1 deficit to beat the Windsor Spitfires in 7 games. Send Windsor to a long rest before the Memorial Cup starts in the end of May, and the Knights will move on with a chance to continue to defend their Memorial Cup title from last year. And that's what this season's all about. Defend the throne. Okay, so they don't get much of a break after the Windsor series. That usually happens when you play a 7-game series. That tends to happen. You don't get much downtime, and the London Knights didn't, because 2 days later they would have to travel to ERIE, Pennsylvania to meet the OTTERS in Game 1 of that series. Okay, so here we go. Game 1. Between the OTTERS and the Knights. I'm not going to have sound effects on this. I'm not going to have audio or video on this one, but I'm just going to kind of briefly tell you what happens, okay? It's all about keeping a great, to-the-point show here on Knights This Week. So, in Game 1, how do you like a steal? You know, I'm a curler, and they use that term if you don't got the hammer and you end up getting a point or more in your end, you steal the end. Everybody love a steal? Well, I'll tell you something. That's exactly what happened in Game 1 in ERIE. Because the London Knights go into ERIE, and I'll first tell you the shots on net. ERIE had 46 shots on net. So that was something that the Knights were doing quite often late in the regular season, giving up over 40 shots a game. They kind of buckled down against Windsor, but they were giving up over 40 shots. So 46 shots for the ERIE OTTERS, and the London Knights got 12. Yes, 46-12, the shots in net in favor of the ERIE OTTERS in Game 1. So one would think, you see that, and you go, wow, London Knights probably got beat pretty bad in Game 1, didn't they? London Knights did not get beat bad in Game 1. They go into ERIE and they win Game 1 by a score of 2-0. 2-0 in favor of your London Knights in Game 1 over the ERIE OTTERS, despite the huge difference in shots. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So they go in and steal a game in Erie. They literally stole it. And they get out to a good start in the game. And why would that be? Who's behind this steal in game one? Well, none other, of course, than your number one starting goaltender. He wears number one on his jersey, and he's number one for a reason, I think. Tyler Parsons. Okay? And let's just pretend I'm taking you back. I'm going to take you back about 25 some years. I'm going to take you back to... I'm only using this. I don't like the Leafs, but I'm using this as an example. They had a great goaltender the one year in their playoff run named Felix Potvin. And I just want to play you a little bit of this. Okay? Okay, well, there you go. I just wanted to give you a little example. That was a Leaf goaltender, Felix Potvin, who was absolutely sensational for 2 or 3 years for the Leafs. So he made 2, 3, 4 big saves in a row, as you heard on that highlight video. I wish I had one of Tyler Parsons. I don't, but pretend that was Tyler Parsons, because he did the same thing in Game 1 against the ERIE Otters. He made save after save after save. And because of that, the London Knights go into Erie and steal Game 1 by a score of 2-0. Thanks to Tyler Parsons. Thank you, Tyler Parsons. What a masterpiece performance. And the London Knights, all they needed was 2 goals. They got 12 shots, but 2 of them went in. Mitchell Stevens gets one of them. Who else, right? Mitchell Stevens has been having an outstanding run with the Knights since they acquired him. A great pickup. I'm pleased, very pleased with this pickup. Mitchell Stevens got 1 goal, his 5th goal at the playoffs. And then the defenseman, Evan Bouchard. Evan Bouchard responsible for the other goal in this game. He gets his 2nd goal of the game of this playoffs. Stevens, Bouchard, and most importantly, Parsons. The 3 factors in a 2-0 win in Erie. Now, here's a crazy stat for you. It's the first time all season long that Erie has been shut out. Erie's got tons of scoring on their team. Everybody knows that. They got the Radish brothers. They got Alex DeBrincat. They got Dylan Strome. They picked up Warren Fogle. They picked up Anthony Cirelli at the trade deadline. Picked a lot of scoring on this team. But they didn't get nothing past Parsons. Way to go, Parsons. So the London Knights got the 2 goals on 12 shots they needed. And then Tyler Parsons, he shut the door on them the rest of the way. Yes. He shut the door. Tyler Parsons shutting the door on the ERIE Otters. And you know what? This is what you get to say about it.
Wow. Wow.
Yes. That's all you can say. One word about that game and Parsons' performance. Parsons. You could say Tyler Parsons, 2. ERIE Otters, nothing. Almost. You could say that. So, London does exactly what they need to do. Go into Erie, get a win right off the bat to get home ice advantage for the rest of the series, most importantly, and to ensure at least a split coming home from Erie. That's all you want to do when you're the visiting team, right? So, I'm going to do this. Yeah, bam. One win right away for the London Knights in this series. Wow. Congrats to Tyler Parsons, 3rd star, 2nd star, and 1st star of the game. Not really, but he should be. And for over 40 shots, 10, 20, 30, 40, over 40 saves for Tyler Parsons. 2-0 win in Game 1. The 3 stars of the game, if you're curious, if you actually want to know the true 3 stars, the 3 stars were actually Warren Fogle from ERIE, who had a good game, had great chances, but could not find the net. Evan Bouchard, the 2nd star, he got the London Knights one of the goals by the Knights. And then the 1st star, number 1, Tyler Parsons, who actually should have been 3rd star, 2nd star, and 1st star if you think about it. But Tyler Parsons, a great performance in Game 1. The Knights win to take the first game of the series. So, the ERIE Otters go into that, wow, what the heck do you do with that? We get 46 shots on net, and we can't beat them. Do we adjust things for Game 2? Do we change things up? Maybe we're a little scared of what this guy can do. Let's go now to Game 2, shall we? All right, here we go, folks. Game 2 between the London Knights and ERIE Otters. And actually, they played the very next night. So, London Knights coming off a tough 7-game series with Windsor and then having to play twice in 2 days with only 1 day off in between. Hey, but them the breaks, right? That's going to happen when you go to a 7-game series and go 7 games. That generally does happen. So let's see what happens in Game 2. In Game 2, I'll start off with the positive. Game 2, the London Knights doubled their shot output from Game 1. So, Game 1, they got 12 shots. Game 2, they get 24 shots on net. So you think, wow, that's awesome. Like, they doubled their shot output. That's pretty good from one game to the next. So, and they limited ERIE to under 40 shots. ERIE got 32 shots in this game. So 32-24, shot clock is really not that different. Shot clock is pretty close. But this time Tyler Parsons was human. Wow, he's human after all, Tyler Parsons. Go figure. And as a result, in Game 2, Game 2 goes to ERIE by a score of 5-1. 5-1 for the Otters in Game 2 as they come back and tie the series up. So a pretty big win for ERIE. ERIE says, hey, you know what? We played well in Game 1. We just couldn't beat a goaltender. Just do the same things. And they did, although they got enough shots on net, obviously. But they did definitely come out and get the victory in Game 2 by a score of 5-1. So, the story of the Game 1 was Tyler Parsons. Now, the story of Game 2 in this series was the Radish brothers. Anybody want a Radish? Yes, the Radish brothers were the big key in Game 2 as Darren Radish got himself a hat trick. Darren Radish with a hat trick. His brother, Taylor Radish, chipped in with a goal. And they were responsible for 4 of the 5 goals that ERIE scored. So Darren Radish with the hat trick now has 6 goals in the playoffs. Taylor Radish with a goal has 4 goals in the playoffs. And the other guy that got a goal for the ERIE Otters was Kyle Maskovich, who got a goal for his 4th goal of the playoffs. On London's side, the only guy that got a goal for the London Knights was Mitchell Van de Soppel, who was acquired at the trade deadline, and it's his first goal of the playoffs, Mitchell van der Sap. So that was the only goal scorer for the Knights, Mitchell van der Sap. And the ERIE Otters skate away with a 5-1 victory in Game 2. The 3 stars of this game. First of all, the London Knights, I thought, played a good Game 2. I don't think the score was indicative of the game in itself. I think the score should have been a little closer than 5-1. But yeah, I think overall the Knights played better in Game 2 than they did in Game 1, but they get the loss in Game 2. So sometimes that's the way it goes, and it's hockey, but they did play better for sure. The 3 stars of the game in this one, well, the ERIE goaltender gets a star in this game. Tyler Parsons was the star of Game 1. In Game 2, Troy Timpano of the ERIE Otters, the goaltender, got the 3rd star of the game. And then, not surprisingly, the Radish brothers got 2nd and 1st star. Obviously, they had a great game. Taylor Radish got the 2nd star. And the hat-trick goal scorer, Darren Radish of the ERIE Otters, gets the 1st star of the game. So he becomes the 1st star. And a 5-1 victory for the ERIE Otters over the London Knights in Game 2 at ERIE Insurance Arena in ERIE. Okay, moving along here. So now we shift focus, folks. And now we move back to London, Ontario, to Budweiser Gardens, as the series shifts back to London for Games 3 and 4. Now, the general consensus from Knight fans I heard was like very happy with the split coming home, and now we got 2 games on home ice, and there were some people that actually believed that we are going to win both Games 3 and 4 on home ice to retain our home ice advantage and put the ERIE Otters in a very precarious spot. Now, there were some that said, I don't know if London's going to get both games. ERIE's a good team. They are a very good team. Well, let's see what happens. Let's see who's right on this front as we go to Game 3. Game 3, Budweiser Gardens with the series tied at 1 each. And in Game 3, do you want to hear a good progression for the Knights? I'm looking at this series as a steady progression for the Knights. No matter what the scores, I think just a steady progression. Because in Game 3, the London Knights managed to get 34 shots on net. They got 34 shots on Troy Timpano. And if you look at their progression, they go from 12 shots in Game 1 to 24 in Game 2 to 34 in Game 3. So you see the London Knights just getting better and better each game in this series. And they definitely are. And however, ERIE got 36 shots on net. It was a very close game, 36 shots to 34, and the score reflects that as well. ERIE won by 2 shots on the shot clock, and ERIE wins by 2 on the goal front as well. ERIE comes into Game 3 and defeats the London Knights by a score of 3-1. So 3-1 was the final in Game 3 for the ERIE Otters. And the ERIE Otters, here we go. This is the game summary here. Okay. So for ERIE, Anthony Sorelli, who was one of the trade pickups that they managed to get, gets his 5th goal at the playoffs. So, he's a pretty good player too. And he's been chipping in. And then Alex DeBrincat. We know what Alex DeBrincat's all about. What did he get? 60 goals in the regular season, something like that? Well, he gets 2 in this game. So the big goal scorer gets 2 goals in this game, although he's only got 4 in the playoffs. So, he's definitely probably not putting in the goals in the playoffs on the same pace. So he gets 2 of the 3 goals, Alex DeBrincat. And responding for your London Knights is Jani Kaukonen, who is having a pretty good playoffs as well. Jani Kaukonen with his 5th goal of the playoffs. And he actually opened the scoring in this game. So the Knights did get the first goal in this game. But then ERIE got the Nets 3 to win the game 3-1 over the London Knights. ERIE loses the first game of the series, and now they've won the last. They win the Nets 2 to take a 2-1 series lead over the London Knights. The 3 stars of the game in this one. The 3rd star from your London Knights was defenseman Olli Juolevi. 2nd star from your London Knights, Jani Kaukonen. He got the only goal of the game. He played a great game again. He's having a pretty good playoffs. So 2 stars from the London Knights. 1st star came from the ERIE Otters. 1st star, the goaltender, Troy Timpano. And the comments after this game was Tyler Parsons has stole one for us. Troy Timpano stole one for them because, the London Knights had good chances in this game, and Timpano did make some good saves. So Troy Timpano gets the 1st star of the game with some great stops. Gives up only the 1 goal on 34 shots. So each goalie steals a game in this series, kind of. And after 3 games, we're sitting at a 2-1 games edge for the ERIE Otters. So that's where we stand after 3 games between these 2 clubs. So after 3 games, the London Knights have scored 4 goals in 3 games. That's obviously not good enough. When you're in the playoffs, you got to get more than 4 goals in 3 games if you think that you're going to win the series. And, there's some talk, get some players in front of Timpano. And obviously, I consider Tyler Parsons a better goaltender than Timpano. But obviously, get some traffic in front, because if a goaltender is in a groove and he sees it, he's going to stop it. So that was kind of the 2 things you heard after Game 3. But not to fault the Knights. They're playing good. And despite the fact they lost Games 2 and 3, they are overall playing better every game in this series. That's kind of what's happening in this series. But it's not showing on the series counter. So Knights weren't getting, the Knights kind of need to find some way to get some bounces, and, you think the Knights are not really that far away from the ERIE Otters in this series. So, but just like the first round, the London Knights find themselves trailing 2-1 after the first 3 games of the series. So, this brings us to our next game of the series. And here you go, folks. So, Game 4 of the Western Conference semifinals between London Knights and the ERIE Otters. Again, played in London. So, London got the split after 2 games in ERIE, and now ERIE has got a win in London to get back their home ice advantage that they enjoyed going into the series. And let's see what happens in Game 4. Now, Game 4 was a special game, because Game 4, this fan was at the game. Yes, yours truly was at this game, because it was a good opportunity to go to a game. And obviously, I love me some London Knights hockey. I love me some London Knights hockey. So I was at Game 4 between the Otters and the Knights. And I don't know what to say about Game 4 because Game 4 was... Game 4 had one heck of a finish. I'll just say that. Game 4 had one heck of a finish. So to give you a summary of what happened, it did not look good for our hometown boys for a while. Despite the fact that London had great chances, the shots were very close all night long. They had great chances on net, the Knights did. They were playing well. London Knights were playing very well, moving the puck up well, generating chances in Erie's end. And again, not playing too bad defensively. They were keeping the shots to a respectable level on their front as well. But some unlucky bounces for the London Knights again. As in the first period, Warren Foegele, one of the great pickups that the Erie Otters made at the trade deadline. Well, Warren Foegele he full credit for a goal because Warren Foegele, about halfway through the first, Warren Foegele got the puck, and when you skate around everybody, which is what Warren Foegele did, when you skate around everybody, then you have given yourself a good goal, kid, and that's exactly what he did. He got the puck, skated around one London Knight player, skated around another one, skated around another defenseman, and put the puck past Parsons to open the scoring. Wow. It was a great goal, no doubt. And Warren Foegele gets to go to give the Erie Otters a 1-0 lead in Game 4 at Budweiser Gardens. So they get the first goal. And then London got into a little bit of penalty trouble, although the penalties are very questionable, very questionable. Erie was getting away with some stuff on us and not getting called for it. And I'm not sure if it was this power play or not, but Max Jones took a penalty for diving. Replay showed he was tripped up. He wasn't diving at all. But nevertheless, now I'm not sure if it was this power play or not, but on one of those power plays, you know, Erie's got a very dangerous power play, and you can't mess around with that too much. And on the one power play in the first, they capitalized when Anthony Cirelli got another goal for the Otters. What can you say? They've made some great pickups, the Otters. Anthony Cirelli got his 6th goal out the playoffs on a power play in the first as well. So the London Knights, despite being very close to the Otters and chances, shots after one, found themselves trailing 2-0 to the Otters. In a game that most fans, I think, would consider a must-win game. Yes, it came from behind from a 3-1 deficit in Game 1, but you cannot expect, in the first round series, but you cannot expect that to happen every series. And I don't know if it's a wise thing to put yourself in a 3-1 hole against the Erie Otters either. So really a must-win here in Game 4 for the Knights to have any chances and hopes. But after one, it's 2-0 Erie. Second period, didn't see any scoring at all. Both teams had some chances, but again, Timpano was solid, and Tyler Parsons on our front, again, solid as he usually is, game in, game out. So after 2 periods of play here at Budweiser Gardens in Game 4, visiting Otters 2, London Knights, nothing. And you're sitting there after 2 periods of play going, wow, you know, the London Knights are playing a really good game. They probably deserve a better fate after 2 periods of play for their play. But, you know, they get a guy to undress everybody to get 1 goal and a power play goal to get another goal. And the London Knights weren't getting any power plays in this game. generating chances, but just not getting the bounces. And then cue us on to the third period here. And what a third period. What an incredible third period by your London Knights. As they came out in the third and really came out on fire. They just came out on fire. They were continuing to generate chances. And then Max Jones got a beauty. Got a beauty. As Max Jones got the puck in Erie's end, and he used his size, he used his muscle. He usually doesn't use it for good things, but he did this time. He used his size and muscle to muscle his way onto the puck, kind of push himself around a couple of players into the net, and he scores! Max Jones gets the London Knights on the board in the third period with a goal. Made it 2-1 for the ERIE Otters, I should say. So, most importantly, the Knights get on the board with a big goal to cut into Erie's lead. Still plenty of time left in the third, too, to make it a game. Lots of time. And Max Jones got a huge goal. Catalyst, really, to get the London Knights going. And then, you know what? And then it's one of those things, you know, where if you've been playing well all game, you get that first goal finally, something seems to happen. And that's exactly what happened here in the third, as the floodgates kind of open, and you see something odd happening. The ERIE Otters, you know, I'm not sure what the stats are, but I'm pretty sure when they've had a lead after 2 periods, they have not lost hardly any games, probably. I don't think. So, 2-1 now for the ERIE Otters after Jones' go. And the London Knights just keep coming. Like, the London Knights continue to put the puck in Erie's end, and they kept cycling the puck in that end. Erie had no answer for it. And then, it took a few minutes later when London would get another goal. This came from Jani Kaukonen, as Jani Kaukonen gets his 5th goal of the playoffs to tie the game up at 2 at that point. So the London Knights get on even terms with the ERIE Otters. A huge couple of goals and great momentum in the third period by the London Knights. So Kaukonen ties it up. And then the London Knights, PA announcer is still just announcing this goal. London goes, scored by, and then another goal happens. The London Knights would score again. And just electric. The third period was electric. The crowd was electric. It was just an awesome atmosphere. As the PA announcer had to stop announcing that last goal until the crowd cried it down, because the Knights get another one, and this one from Jani Kaukonen as well. So he gets 2 goals in the span of, I think, 25 seconds. Jani Kaukonen gets his 6th goal of the playoffs to put the Knights ahead at this point, 3-2. So, wow. And a tremendous effort in the third period by your London Knights. So Erie on their heels, definitely. They're just being ambushed by the Knights in the third period. And then that was all the goals we would see for a bit, because finally Erie did get a bit of semblance to their play. They did create some chances in London's end, but still couldn't find that goal. And then the ERIE Otters, late in the game, as most teams do, pulled their goalie to try to get the equalizer. And the London Knights withstood the pressure. And Max Jones, again, Max Jones, this one he's on the blue line, on his knees, being really well defended by an Otter player. He still manages to get his stick on the puck, slide it down the ice into the empty net, make it 4-2 for your London Knights. And that's how it ended. Game 4 goes to the London Knights by a score of 4-2. Jones with 2 goals, Yanni Kaukonen with 2 goals, and the London Knights get a huge win in Game 4. Huge win to even the series at 2 apiece. So now we are into a best of 3 with the Erie Otters, with Erie still having home ice advantage, of course, but it just seems to me every game London's getting better in this series, and I think if London continues that, I think Erie could have a real handful on their hand. But anyway, a huge win for the London Knights as they tie the series up, and Game 5 going tonight as I speak in Erie at the Erie Insurance Arena. So Jones and Kaukonen, the 2 responsible for London's goals. Fogo, Sorelli for Erie. Erie gets outshot in this game 33-28, so kept Erie under 30 shots. Pretty decent. And the London Knights are continuing to get better every game, and they tie the series up. The 3 stars of this game all go to your London Knights. 3rd star, goaltender Tyler Parsons. 2nd star goes to Max Jones for a great game. He used his skill and muscle in the right way to get 2 big goals. So he's a 2nd star. And the 1st star, 2 goals as well, Yanni Kaukonen, as the London Knights win Game 4, 4-2. So there will be at least 6 games in this series, maybe even 7. 7 wouldn't be out of the question with these 2 teams, I don't think. So the series is tied at 2 with Game 5 going in Erie on Saturday night. So that's where we are in the series now, folks. 2 apiece, with 2 games to go, maybe 3. There you have it. So the London Knights still got a great shot, and they're still alive and very well kicking. Now, this is Game 5 is obviously a big game. Somebody is going to go up 3-2 in the series. Doesn't necessarily mean that whoever goes up 3-2 is going to win the series, because really, you can win 2 games. That's not too much of an issue. You can win games 6 and 7 if you're down 3-2. But we'll see who comes out with the 3-2 edge in games after Game 5. So the London Knights and Erie Otters playing a pretty good series. As I said earlier, there is no going to be a sweep for any team. This is going at least 6 games. So a pretty, finally, a pretty entertaining series between these 2 clubs after the last 2 years being sweeps. There you have it. Now, let me get you caught up on the other series. Okay, I want to do that. There's, of course, 3 other series going on. The other series out west, the Owen Sound Attack and the Sioux Greyhounds. Now, it didn't look too good for the Owen Sound Attack after 2 games in this series, because they lost both the first 2 games in Sault Ste. Marie. And you're going, wow. Because I know they were a big pick of mine, Owen Sound, and they were down 2-0. But now they've won the last 3 games, including last night's game, so they are now up on the Sioux Greyhounds 3-2, with Game 6 going in Owen Sound. So Owen Sound's got a great chance to win that series, and not a big surprise there. I predicted that, so that's what's happening there. Now in the East, the Peterborough Petes are the story in the East right now, as they have now moved on to round 3. They completed a 4-game sweep at the Kingston Frontenacs. So they have not lost a game in the playoffs. They are now 8-0 in the playoffs. But hey, let's keep in mind they're playing out east. So remember last year the Niagara Ice Dogs went on a similar run. Then they met the London Knights. So, but Peterborough doing great out there. They're in round 3 with the 2 sweeps so far. Mississauga is up on Oshawa right now, 3-1. So everything going according to what I picked out there in that conference, as those two teams are destined for a conference final hookup, Peterborough and Mississauga. Now, a little bit of shockers going on in other leagues. In the Western Hockey League, the Regina Pats, who are ranked number 1 for most of the season, are down in their series to the Swift Current Broncos. Trailing right now 3-2, and if Swift Current can knock off the Regina Pats, that would be a pretty big upset out there. So that could happen, so keep your eye on that one. And the Everett Silver Tips are done. That's a bit of a surprise to me too, because they got such a great goaltender out there. He played for Team Canada at the World Juniors at goaltender. So a little bit of a surprise on that front. And Lethbridge, I think, is leading their series as well, and they're a bit of a lower team. So some funny things happening out west. Now, in the Quebec League, the Roy-Noranda Huskies, last year's champs, are down 3-2, so they're facing elimination. The Charlottetown Islanders are through to the third round. Charlottetown Islanders I think they were 86 points, 87, something like that. So, a little bit of a surprise on that front. The St. John Sea Dogs were ranked number 1 in the CHL, and they are on to round 3, so they remain alive out there. But 102 points for the St. John Sea Dogs. It's not like they're not miles apart from the other teams. So interesting. It's very interesting to see what's happening in these other series. The big upset, the big story would be if Regina gets beat out. That would be a huge upset for sure. So that's where we are in the series, folks. Game 5 tonight. Big game in Erie. If London can find a way to win this game, they put themselves in a position to perhaps win the series on home ice. Now, if they don't, not the end of the world either, because Game 6 is at home, and I think one way or the other, I think London can definitely win Game 6 anyway. So, but that's where we are. Now, what I want to do, as I always do at the end of my shows, is I'm going to do the night stance for you. So we're going to do the night stance to end this show this week on Nights This Week. So I hope that you've enjoyed this show this week. And definitely, I enjoy doing this show very much and giving you all the latest on our London Knights. So, here we go, the night stance coming at you here on Nights This Week. So, go Knights, go! And we'll see you next week on Nights This Week, where we will definitely be telling you how this series ends up in this one, because the series will be over by Tuesday night. So until next week, go Knights, go! And we'll see you next week on Nights This Week.